This show contains profanity, advice you should never follow, humor that you might not enjoy. The names have been changed to protect the guilty. Do not try this at home.
Hey gang, we recorded for over 4 hours this week, the longest we've ever done for our little hour-long show. So I'm going to split it up into 2 or 3 episodes over the next week or so. Just way too much stuff to get to. Enjoy.
Greetings, Yellow Blazers, Blue Blazers, Bill Bryson lovers, Bill Bryson haters, Hiker Trash, White Trash, Brits, and Hicks. Welcome to another episode of the Pox and Puss podcast. My name is Pox Holiday. Sitting to my right this time is
Puss in Boots.
And this is episode 10. We're going to talk a little bit more about the pre-hike jitters that some people are having before they hit the trail right now. I have a couple of guests in the studio. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but we'll be right back. All right, so episode 10, pre-hike jitter shit. Again, my name is Pox Holiday, and Puss in Boots is sitting to my right, and across from me are T-Bone, who hiked southbound in 1997. And then over to my left across from me is Miss Flutterby, who also hiked in 1998, the same year that I did. We're going to talk a little bit about the pre-hike, the stuff we thought about before we were getting ready to go out and hit the trail, and like experience levels, one big thing on this one. This week has been a big week on the interweb for the Pox and Puss podcast. We went over 100 likes on Facebook, which was kind of big. I want to say thanks to Jill, who was number 100, and Moonbeam, who was number 101. Ooh. She popped our cherry. I also started my own Facebook account, just regular old Pox Holiday. I'm probably the only one on there right now if you search that on Facebook. Let's see, on Instagram, we're actually getting closer to 200 followers at this point. You can find us on Instagram at Pox and Puss. I was thinking people get starting the trail right now. If they want to, they can tag the pictures, I don't know, hashtag Pox and Puss, or yeah.
Why not?
Be cool. Why not? Can't hurt anything.
Or if you just have a picture you're particularly proud of, or something funny that you want us to talk about, or maybe we could retweet it.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, I know. Here's a big news. Miss Puss in Boots joined the Twitter world.
It's true. I joined 1990. Well, now it was, 2008 was when Twitter started or something like that.
Yeah, around there.
Yeah, and I made it way more difficult than it needed to be. So my name is @AT Puss in Boots. Don't try and make it @Puss in Boots AT, because it's already taken. And by already taken, I mean I tried to make that my Twitter handle and ruined it, and so I just had to start over. So you can find me at @AT Puss in Boots.
And a failed one at Puss in Boots AT.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything.
It's just the egg.
Yeah, it's just somebody being really sad.
But you can always find us, at Pox and Puss. Me, however, I jumped on the bandwagon a lot earlier, and I'm nearing 100 followers, and by that I mean I need 25 more. But so we're getting close to getting I don't know, some respect from the Appalachian Trail. Yeah. All right. One last thing: 5-star reviews on iTunes, they will be read from now on. If you write a 5-star review, we will. I don't care if you give us a 5-star review and then trash us in the review. We'll read it as long as it's 5 stars. That's all that really counts.
First.
Exactly.
Thanks for the love.
But so. Keeping on with the pre-hike jitter thing, I'll tell you guys a little story about myself. And don't worry, we're going to get to our 2 guests eventually. They will be heard, but not right now. When I was a young boy, when I was a young man in high school, and you can tell by the spit cup I have and my rubber suit, I was a wrestler in high school. And nothing, I did okay, not my junior and senior year. But nothing gets you more out of whack than when you wrestle somebody who has never wrestled before. Like you get somebody who's like a freshman, they've never done it, and they squirm in ways you never thought they would squirm. They
check your oil.
They wriggle around. No, that checking your oil, that's a pretty professional move.
Oh.
But yeah.
My bad.
Trust me. And so they wiggle around, and I just remember one time having that exact same situation where there's this guy, he was like in the semifinals of some tournament. And I remember looking at my coach, and he's just like, the guy wasn't doing anything that you're taught. He was just flailing. And he wasn't beating me, but he was just like wiggling around.
He was evading you.
Yeah. I mean, he was on his belly, but he was just doing stuff, and it wasn't really easy.
Like breakdancing or something?
Yeah. And then like the next year, like after this was maybe like I was a senior or something like that, the next year the guy was just like, he did really well. And so
He wiggled his way to freedom.
he wiggled his way to
Stardom.
to stardom in the high school wrestling world of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, the point of this is, I was basically that wiggly worm guy when I first started the trail.
Can I quote you on that?
Yeah, sure. Put it on the T-shirt. Put a hash behind it, and say, "Pox Holiday."
I will.
I've always wanted to be a dash.
I'm gonna tweet it right now.
Okay.
In a week, people are gonna be amazed because they heard it here first.
Live tweeting. So I was a wiggly worm again. And I was that guy on the AT where it was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to wiggle my way until I get to the fucking end. And and that's just kind of because like people, like we talked about it. It didn't make it in the podcast last time, but I didn't use my stove until I was in the parking lot of Amicalola Falls the night before I hiked the trail. Never used it before. Never touched it. Didn't know, and it was just kind of like, maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do this before I go. And so what's funny is, without hearing it, Miss Flutterby, we started talking about what we're going to talk about this weekend. And she said, well, I didn't use my stove until
Springer Mountain Shelter.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's just the way.
I can't tell if it's like stupid or baller. I'm gonna go with baller right now. So
Now T-Bone, did you do practice hikes?
I actually did. My partner I started hiking with and I actually came up from Atlanta to hike in Shining Rock Wilderness, and we had some pretty good shakedowns. I already figured out that my boots were going to give me massive blisters, but I didn't change that. But I was still green as a backpacker, but my partner was pretty experienced. I had a pretty good grasp of what we were doing.
And then we know from last episode that Puss knew what she was doing.
yeah, I tested and retested and bought shit and rebought shit. I think by the time I was done buying shit before I even left for Georgia, I had nearly outfitted myself 3 times over. I had multiple packs and multiple sleeping bags and multiple sleeping pads and a whole bunch of stuff that never saw the AT, at least not while I was hiking.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, was like, did it pay off? Like,
I mean, yes and no. The upside was I worked at an outfitter, so I could pro deal a lot of that stuff. So outfitting myself 3 times over probably cost less than one person that didn't work in an outdoor retailer outfitting themselves once. So in that regard, like, it was fine. And I bought some gear that I still really love. Totally unpractical for a thru hike, but good gear for weekend use and, car camping and stuff like that. So
yeah, like, did you guys overload on information before you left?
I got the handbook, right?
Right.
That was called, I think in 98 it was.
Was it the Wingfoot handbook?
It sure was. It was yellow with like green trim.
Yeah.
And not only did I get the handbook, but I called that fucking guy and
You talked to Wingfoot?
yeah, I talked to him on the phone several times before I started hiking about menu, because I was a vegetarian, pescatarian for both my thru hikes. Yeah, probably the only thru hiker who did an entire thru hike not eating a bit of meat other than seafood or a piece of chocolate.
You didn't have any chocolate?
I don't eat chocolate.
Wow.
Yeah, but anyway, to the point, like
That's more amazing. That's more amazing than just being a pescatarian. We're like, no chocolate. Like, what the fuck did you eat?
I ate a lot of egg sandwiches in town. But anyway, Wingfoot Gabe was just, I'm like, I'm trying to decide what, I said to him, I'm trying to decide what color boots to buy. That's how green I was. And he said, honey, 2 weeks in, they're going to be the color of mud. Doesn't matter what color. He was so right. Yeah, but I did buy that handbook, and I did one shakedown hike a 7-mile really flat hike during which I sprained my ankle. So yeah, I'm thinking you need to prepare. You just I mean,
what about you, Timo?
Was it worth it? I don't know.
Did you OD on info or?
Well, we were first experiencing the miracle of email in 1996.
Right.
We began to gather information. So this interweb thing was, really new to a knuckle dragger who didn't own a computer. But we were able to talk to some people who had hiked the year before, and it was certainly beneficial to get an idea of what we were in for. As far as and we even watched a video that interviewed hikers at about the midway point.
Was that the 5 million steps one?
I don't remember.
Okay.
But it was interesting because it presented a lot of different philosophies. They interviewed a lot of different hikers with a lot of different styles and amount of money they were spending and gear they had bought and all that stuff. So it was really informative to be like, yeah, you can sleep under a plastic bag, or you can have a $200, $300 tent.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. I feel like I started to OD on it a little bit, and I remember going to, and I've talked about it on here before, but I went to an REI meeting where they had 3 Thru-Hikers, and it was supposed to be an hour and a half long, and they spent the first hour on food, and it's you're gonna figure out what you want to eat eventually. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna have to suffer through 7 chicken and rice meals in a row that you're like, fuck, it's gonna happen. But that was to me, I was like, nope, because I had the planning book, but I didn't even know about Trail Place. I didn't know about, there was no White Blaze or anything like that. Sound like old people now, but yeah, I started to, and then it was just kind of like, well, I remember thumbing through the coffee table book, the 1995 coffee table book, on the way to Georgia, oh, I didn't know that, just picking out shit and finding out things as I went,
I got that for Christmas in 96.
Yeah.
But you're right. Because
right before.
Yeah.
Same thing here. I got it in 97 for Christmas and didn't pick it up till February or March.
You said there's so many different approaches to it, and that's totally true. In that way, I'm glad. All I did was read the guidebook, the handbook, and talk to Wingfoot. Because,
and find out which color boots to get.
Boots. He was just really it doesn't matter. And I said, what about calories? And he was like, and fit. Oh, I said, health insurance. Do I need to buy myself some health insurance? And one of the best things anyone's ever said to me was, he said, if you want health insurance, I can't tell you not to buy it, but I can tell you that you will be in the most amazing state of wellness that you've ever been in your life. And that was so comforting to me. Wow, really? Yeah. But the lightweight thing was just starting. Mm-hmm. Right. And I didn't know anything about it, thankfully, because I'm a terrible decision maker. So I'm glad that I just stuck with the prescribed method.
Yep. Oh, I remember, I want to say it was somewhere in Connecticut. I think there was a guy named Slider.
Yeah.
In 98.
There's a slider every year.
Yeah, there's a slider every year. And this guy was he walks up to camp and he has on a book bag, some tennis shoes, and some ankle height socks. And we're like, hey, how are you doing? Fine. Where are you coming from? He's like, I stayed at blah, blah, blah last night, whatever shelter. And we're like, well, where'd you come in before that? And he was like, Georgia? We're like, I just remember being with that? And it's what everybody carries now. Whatever he had was what everybody carries. But it was 1998, so it was I was a dinosaur, watching a mammal go by. What the fuck is that thing, You're oh.
I had an external frame pack.
Yeah.
In 97, and the external had already largely gone the way of the dodo. But mine was a Gregory Evolution, which weighed 8 pounds at least. Ooh. My 8-pound bundle of joy. Empty. And so there were people out there already doing it the Ray way who had base weights less than the weight of my empty pack. Now, that thing would carry a piano if you could strap a piano to it, but you don't really need that for a thru hike.
I remember asking you what kind of pack you carried, and you said, what was it, the Gregory
Evolution.
Gregory Evolution. I said, really? I don't think I've ever heard of that. And you said, I think they only sold 100, and everybody who wanted one got one.
That was it. That was said to us by a Gregory rep. We asked him about that, and he just looked at us and smiled and said, everybody who wanted one of those got one. He had a way of saying things like that. Just, it was beautiful.
Nice.
And I was like, I understand, you know, and it, occasionally selling a pack, when someone asks, I'll tell them, oh, I did an entire through hike with a massive external frame pack, and I'll never wear it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was punishment.
Take a break for a second. Let the boys are chirping outside.
Right on.
Should we chime in or not?
Huh?
Yeah.
We have to
Yeah,
chime in
it's just
Am I-
bullshitting. Yeah, whenever you want
Okay.
to. Yeah, whenever you want to jump in, it's fine. Wiggly worm.
It's been tweeted.
Did you already put it out there? Good.
You know,
good.
though, if you're a wiggly worm, that
Wiggly
shows
worm.
some amount of like, you have resources. You'll figure it out as you go along. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unlike, like, I love to wrestle, and I'm a wiggly worm.
Right.
My only rule is no wrist holding. You know, that's tense, and
Yeah.
okay, so then you're not even wrestling anymore,
You don't know the Granby roll
right?
and things like that. You know, you don't know all the like. And that's the thing, is that there are those moments where you're like, I'm good at this. Is what I do this, so he reacts in this way, and that's the way of the wrestling. And like, and
Then you chicken wing him.
yeah, and then when you do the chicken wing, or you do a
Pink taco.
the pink taco, or the ball and chain.
The Rochambeau.
I was more of a snap down guy myself,
Or a helicopter.
You would be.
but like you would think this is, you know, I do this, you react this way.
Right. Trail doesn't work that way.
And I think a lot of people feel that way because I remember meeting, I've talked about it before, Squirrel. And Squirrel I met her at the place. So she's the one that came to Barf's birthday where the white trash woman pops the balloon with her cigarette. And I remember we're sitting on the back porch of the place with Bjorn and a few other people.
Oh, Big Bjorn.
Yeah. And she pulls out like all this paper, and it has like day 1, 8.3 miles. Day 2. And it was like a 1998 Excel's sheet of like what she was going to do every day, how far she was going to go, the shelter she was going to stay at, had all this stuff lined up. And here's the best thing. Man, I saw her there. The last time I saw her was at I-81 and Rural Retreat. And the next time I saw her, going up Katahdin.
Wow.
And it's like, here she had this whole thing planned out. I never did a fucking bit of planning.
It can work either way.
Yeah.
But I think there's so much in life has to be planned to the freaking detail, the bitter end. This it's not, for me, it's nice to just have some kind of system, whatever it is. Don't get all questiony every time you notice someone else has a different thing going on. Hawkeye always says, just in terms of gear, because we hiked with a friend of mine who was changing gear a lot. And he said and getting frustrated, because then you're always walking around with the question mark in your brain. Do I have it right? Do I have it right?
This is a great phrase, yeah.
Yeah, and Hawkeye would say, at some point you got to commit to your kit. And
I like that.
And I think that's true. Whatever it is, it'll get you there.
I mean, the other thing about that too is when I hiked in 2009, that was like, there was some serious ultralight gear available, and there were a lot of people that were really into it. And I know that I did a lot of research before I started trail, and no matter what you have 3, 4, 5 days into the trail, when you walk through mountain crossings, there's going to be so much stuff that you're either going to be made to feel like you need to have if you want to make it to Maine, or you kind of get some gear envy and you're like, man, this thing is, whether it's 2 pounds or 2 ounces less than yours is, that you want. And if you let yourself, you can spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars re-outfitting, and not just at mountain crossings, but at any outfitter along the trail. And it's like, at some point you just have to be happy with what you have. And I remember hiking with a guy who had started out with pretty darn light gear, just to start with. And it became and I understand, like, everybody counts ounces the whole way, and you're trying to figure out how you can make some stuff lighter, but it became like an obsession of his. And every time we went to there was a new gear shop or something like that in a trail town, he was looking at everything, and he was weighing everything, and he was really considering. And I mean, we pretty much didn't ever go to an outfitter without him making a big purchase.
Wow.
And at some point, and I think we had, been seeing regularly another hiker who was hiking about our pace that had thru-hiked the year before, had done the AT the year before. And at some point, and this kid had like a 16-pound pack, and he was just cruising. And I remember him like sitting this guy down and just being like, dude, you're obsessing over something that has nothing to do with your hike. Like, making your pack 6 ounces lighter is not going to make you happy, and it's not going to make it any easier realistically. So just chill. And
unless you have like 18 pounds of 6-ounce items that you really shouldn't be carrying.
Yeah.
That adds up.
Sure, yeah. Well, I mean, that said, the same kid that I'll say the name because I know he won't care, but his name was Bones, because he had the bare bones of like what he could possibly have. And it borderlined on gross. Like, he had a pair of running shorts, and that was his only, like, he didn't have any long underwear. He didn't have, like, it was just this pair of running shorts. And he had like a tech shirt and like a rain jacket, like a really, or it was like a wind shirt.
Well, was he borrowing people? Was he mooching stuff?
No, he wasn't.
That's a problem.
He wasn't. But I do remember we got to the NOC, and when we hiked out of the NOC, the resupply, I think a lot of people had sort of counted on it to be a good resupply. And at least in 2009, it just was not good, or whether it was picked over or whatever. And he shopped around and couldn't really find anything he liked, so he bought one bag of instant mashed potato flakes and a case of beer, and he filled his pack up with beer, and he bartered food until the next resupply with cans of beer.
Fantastic.
That's a great idea.
But he ate like a king. That was the funniest part, is like 2 days out, when people, and it was funny because that was the most weight he had thus far. And he's weighed down with cans of beer, but then he would get in at night, and it's like, all right, I got a can of beer. Who wants it? And what do you got? And like the next thing you know, he's got like piles of beef jerky and like like really good food. And
it's like being the one guy that knows how to make prison like toilet wine.
It's like you were just like, you would totally be the guy in jail that could get you anything you wanted, man.
That song "Who Got the Hooch" came out that summer.
It did.
I can't imagine. I just remember.
I was actually thinking about that as a topic of like, what I think we talked about before a little bit, but like the songs, like, I know the three of us, I'm pointing at Flutterby and T-Bone. Three of us were still in the radio era.
Sure enough.
When you might have a Walkman or something like that. I don't know if you were MP3 or radio-ish or...
So few people even had it, though.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of people had iPods.
Right.
And I had like a little itty-bitty iPod Shuffle. Mm-hmm. And I can remember certain songs off of it that like I was really into while I was
They take you back to a place or something like that.
Nobody had it when we were out.
I had a straight up fucking Walkman.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I had a Walkman. And
some people had like
tapes.
wires hanging to the top of the shelter at night, like for antenna.
Oh wow! I never experienced that.
Cool Rabbit had that.
Oh really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Nobody had an iPod. I don't even think it was invented yet.
No.
Mitch, my friend Mitch, I was the only person I knew who had an old, early cell phone for like, I think she sent it home at Neil's Gap.
Yeah.
I do remember seeing a cell phone out there, but
now everybody has it.
A section hiker was only out for a week or something. And as far as music players, two of the people I hiked with actually shared a Walkman, and they had a bunch of Fish mixtapes. And
Yeah.
I just like to listen to the wind and the birds and know who the hell is walking up behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say I can remember the one that stands out to me is the 26 miles between Duncannon and Boiling Springs, PA. That was in that stretch was the first time I ever heard it's been 1 week. the bare naked ladies. It's been 1 week since you looked at me. And it kept coming in and out, and I'm like, what the fuck am I hearing? You know? All right, we're gonna take a break.
Okay. Yeah, we totally got off subject. We won't even talk.
Speaking of confessionals, what's
priest.
the priest shelter in Pennsylvania?
Was that pretty?
No,
Virginia.
Oh, Virginia.
Yeah,
because there's so many priests in Pentecostal.
it was right. It was like
Thomas
like
and all of his knobs, or
Mm-hmm.
Siler and all of his balds too.
But yeah, we had deeps and creeks. But
the priest was within. It was in between Waynesboro and the James River.
Okay, and so in this shelter now, they're like in the journal in the shelter, it's like a confessional. Ugh. Yeah.
Because I get it.
The priest.
Yeah. Right.
And what is the number one most that you remember from 2009?
People confessing that they jerked off in the shower trailer at Trail Days.
They have shower trailers at Trail Days now.
God.
It's people jerking off.
Because it's clean and private, and you don't have that very often.
Until you're done jerking off.
I mean,
Exactly. I said the same fucking thing.
not gonna wear their fucking sandals in there though to begin with. I mean,
You don't care at that point.
You're in the shower, you know.
We had an entire discussion like last episode about fucking jerking off.
You think it's a slug in the shower, but it's not a slug.
no.
Oh.
You brought it up.
You know how much you can get for a slip and a fall. Doctor says I need a backiotomy. God, yeah.
How was the shower? Your buddy says she was good, but there's slugs in there. Look out.
Well, here's the funny thing. I'll say this. We don't have to put it in the show.
No,
but
we
if it
can't
comes
put anything about the slugs in there.
Oh no, we're gonna talk about jerking off in the shower. Don't worry about it. But
We always do.
Thank God.
You in the black, yes, ma'am.
No, I got nothing. I'm all.
Oh,
good.
I thought our retardedness had interrupted. I apologize.
No, I forget.
I'm sorry. Did you have something poignant to say? Because we don't right now.
yeah. Because please pull us out of this hole. Let's see. One thing we could do.
Oh, you were on Tuna. Don't forget though. At some point.
What are we doing with tuna?
We were
don't know,
on
you
the
mentioned
Forget
tuna.
the tuna.
Carrying around those fucking tuna cans.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I wasn't talking about that.
You were.
You were almost going to name the podcast. It's all about the tuna.
We cut to break. That means we're not talking about tuna.
Wow,
Wait a minute.
The cut the break ended as soon as the came out.
Yeah. So you were
what
going to
she
say,
said.
what's on the notebook?
Yeah. Hey,
Hair bump.
here's one real quick. You probably didn't see this quite as often, T-Bone, but how many people did you see like down south that when they would sign registers, they would sign it, like Georgia to Maine, but it'd be GA2ME?
M.A.?
Yeah, I saw that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People don't know the abbreviation.
Yeah,
Like you're only going to Massachusetts? Hell.
exactly.
You go that far. Punch it out, man.
I remember being behind a guy who was like, weeks ahead, and you're like, you motherfucker, like, just figure it out. Like, has nobody told you? Like, you almost wanted to, like, book ahead, like, it's M-E, it's M-fucking-E.
And how do you not even know the whole, like, it's all part of the game phrase? Like, when you're talking about
exactly.
Game or mega?
If you can't spell
Mega.
game.
I mean, admittedly, like not that I write,
Maga.
not that I write letters to Maine that often, but like if it's
Maga.
one of those things that I'm like, wait, what is it? I can remember like game or mega, and that's it's ME, okay. And
Yeah. Georgia to Massachusetts.
I have to tell a story about that because I when I got back from the trail, one of the first things GA2ME I decided to do was I'm gonna get me a personal computer and check out them interwebs.
Yeah.
Oh shit! And so I went right into Circuit City and dropped a grand on fucking IBM, which was my smartphone now outstrips by some factor of 10 or something. And sure enough, I got online and I got on AOL just like everybody noob. Hell yeah, you were on AOL, Pox.
Oh, yeah.
We chatted.
Oh, yes. Back in the
Just kidding.
day.
Anyway, yeah, we did. Actually, it's like
2007.
13 years ago.
Just kidding.
Fucking A. Shit, no.
Yeah,
Y2K, man. Y2K.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll be damned if I didn't make my AOL handle ME, the numeral 2, GA97. All right.
I can't believe that wasn't taken.
There was this other one that was really close, but yeah. Everybody and their grandma thought that it meant me too gay.
Yep.
Me too gay. That was it.
Is that caveman speak for I'm a homosexual?
Yeah, like me too gay. And it just everybody would ask, like, man, what's up with me too gay on your license plate? Because yeah, I had the vanity plate ME2GA apostrophe
You were
97.
committed. Go you.
Fucking hell, I was full of myself.
How long did you have the Me Too Gay license plate? Yeah, you had it for a long time.
Years.
It traded cars. Did it not?
No, it stayed on the Mazda.
Okay. Let's see. Let's listen to some phone calls.
Yeah.
Let's do that. So we had a pretty awesome response to our request for calls, and yeah, I'm trying to hold it together. But so we literally after our last podcast, the last time you and I recorded, I came upstairs and someone had called while we were doing a podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is good. And not only was there one call, but there were 2 phone calls in a row.
Even better.
Yeah. Let's see. Here's number 1.
Hey, Pox and Puss. This is, don't really have a name yet, so I'm going to leave that unknown. But I have a very good question for you. I think I've read a lot with both answers. Obviously, Puss did the approach trail. I'm just curious, how many people do the approach trail versus just go right to the start. Anyway, yeah, I'd love to hear y'all's answers. Would love to hear what is the best. And really don't know that I've got a clear answer yet as far as what is the most appropriate or the most efficient. And then even if you can, just go straight to the trailhead. All right, cool. Thanks. Bye.
Alrighty, so that's number 1 there. That was voicemail number 1 from unnamed.
I'm going to go ahead and say unknown. It sounds like you just gave yourself a trail name. I'm just going to say you signed off unknown. So.
Okay. She had a follow-up phone call.
Oh, good.
So I also just wanted to say that I realized I sounded like an idiot, but would really love your opinion on approach trails versus trailhead. Cool.
Maybe that's a different trail name.
Poignant follow-up.
So,
A little sharper unknown.
that was pretty awesome.
I think that answer's so easy.
What did you do it?
Yeah. I did it, and you know something? I was like, should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? We were looking at 2,162 miles. And looking back now, it's weird that I spent a few days agonizing about, am I going to do this? What was it, 8 miles?
Right.
Yeah, it's 8.2 miles.
Yeah, but should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? You're scared of the whole trail. Don't let those 8 miles throw you off.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I say yes to every possible little extra thing you can do. We did Sugarloaf because the view was sick, We did Dismal Falls. Is that what they were called?
Yeah.
What a great day of playing in the sunshine. And I go up Springer Mountain on the approach trail, and there's a blind guy walking up in front of me. And I'm like, all right, absolutely, I should be out here walking this trail. There are people with way more obstacles and way more nerve.
Right.
But anyway, I thought it was great. And
yeah. Now, Puss, I know, you have a story from Springer Mountain, and I'm pretty sure if you tell it again, people will throw up. It's about meeting the guy that talked about Baltimore Jack.
Yeah.
But, I mean, do you regret looking back? I couldn't be a dick that long. I'm sorry. Do you look back and, what do you think of? I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I've had 2 weeks to, load it up and wait. What did you get from doing the approach trail?
Well, I feel the same way as Flutterby. It's like,
why not?
What more is 8 more miles?
Right.
But there were also 2 other things that I kept thinking about. Number 1, I get horribly car sick, and I have heard that the car ride that you have to like go around your ass to get to this parking lot is like just a horrible car ride.
That's correct.
And yeah, like I'm just the kind of person that if I'm on a windy road, like I have to lay in the parking lot for like an hour before I can do anything. Mm-hmm. And I just thought how awful to get to a parking lot and then like lay on my pec and feel ill. But the other part was like how anticlimactic, and I don't want to like hate on people that haven't done the approach trail, but like how anticlimactic to to hike 2 miles and take a picture and then be like, well, gonna turn around and go the other direction now. It's like, you know, it's reminiscent of the people that like everybody hates while you're hiking, where you see the family driving on Skyline Drive and they drive up to the overlook and get out and take a picture and then they get back in their car and drive off. And it's like, wow, that's so not what the essence of this is supposed to be. It just feels weird to, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
For me, it's more about just like, it's the question in your mind isn't really, you think the question is, should I do the approach trail? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're not really asking. You're like, fuck, I'm hiking the Appalachian Trail. Yeah, like you have to start at some point. And so that can be just as fitting a start. Start wherever you want to start. But one day, you have to start walking.
Yeah. Now, T-Bone, you are a southbounder, but
it may as well be the approach trail.
Had you been a northbounder, would you probably I mean, there's no way to tell. You would have done it
without question.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say right now, I didn't do it, and I don't regret a fucking thing.
It wasn't a pretty little hike.
Oh, I didn't
tell
do
you
it.
that.
The road up is a dirt road in the mountains. It's no different than anything you take in any single hitchhike you've had. I figured if I was going to leave for the next 6 or so months, why do a day hike before I did that?
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Thank you very much.
It's like stretching before you...
I think I wanted to...
I don't fucking miss a thing.
But wasn't the next day a 10 miler at least, or 12? So I thought I better start, like, prepare myself for that second day.
I went up and went back and I did like 10 miles.
Yeah, well, you're tough.
No, I'm not. No, I just mean I went green. Like I didn't see the difference. I mean, I don't think there's. I mean, in reality, there's no difference.
Right, it's all in your mind, is what I'm saying.
Exactly.
My game I played about it was all in my mind, and
except you guys were wrong. But yeah,
I do think it's really funny that people whine and like are noteworthy about how there's like 200 or 300 wooden steps are like the very beginning of the 18. It's like, really? That's kind of the least of your worries for the next 5 to 6 months. Like,
no pudding.
Yeah. Oh, if that's gonna be what sets you back, you probably just shouldn't even start right now.
And the other thing is like, okay, 97, 98, 2009. How long's the trail now compared to then?
Right.
Keeps getting longer.
It keeps getting longer, and so did we really do it? You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
there is no right answer. Hike your own hike, damn it.
Exactly, and that's the thing, and then that's the wiggly worm in me.
Yeah, you would.
I mean, like I guess the long and short of it is, if it's right for you to hike the approach trail, then that's the right way for you.
Right. Yeah.
If it isn't, then that's not the right way for you.
On my way up, on the drive up, I saw like a big flock of turkeys.
Oh man!
And you thought to yourself, "My people are here."
I was like, "It started." Yeah, like I'm such a pussy for not hiking this thing. I'm a turkey.
Is it like?
Wasn't the last time.
It's like how it's good luck if you go out to sea and a porpoise jumps.
Here's the crazy thing.
There's a gaggle of turkeys.
So this turkey comes up like my mom drove me up there, right? And I was like, wow, we like pull over and there are these turkeys off to the side, and one of them walks up. And he looks me dead in the fucking eyes and he's like, "Do you know Baltimore Jack?" "You will." And then he fucking flew off.
Ever tell you that joke that I took, the first dirty joke I ever told my father? 2 hillbillies sitting on a porch. One guy's visiting his friend, and the dog comes ambling down the dusty driveway and throws himself down in the dirt and starts licking his balls. And the visitor guy on the porch says to his buddy, boy, I sure wish I could do that. And his friend said, he would bite you. Do you guys remember that shelter in the deep south where there was like the honeymoon suite and the this, that, and the that, and the God, what the hell was that place? You had to walk down a road, and it was sort of like a collection of cabins.
It was a shelter, though?
No, it was not a shelter. It was like you paid to stay. Do you remember that? And there was once upon a time, like a body was found in a trunk near there. Years later. Anyway,
What?
Don't put this on the podcast. What's it called? Was it called?
No, you can't say that after you talk about dead bodies.
And they had a snack shack. You're so excited for the snack shack, and there was like, I think they had one thing on the menu, and it was like potato chips.
Hot dogs.
Yeah, there
potato
might have been a
chips.
hamburger, and they were out or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were like,
Titty taters.
titty taters.
Tater tits.
What are they called?
Anyway, tater tits.
Boob taters, not to be confused with titty taters.
Boob. It was just fun to say boob.
Boob. Another thing that happened earlier this evening, my wife called, they said that Puss is perfect.
My body was perfect.
You had the perfect body.
Tonight,
That's right.
you should get the good compliment.
The perfect body for getting...
Because I fit in size mediums.
Because you fit in size mediums, which are what
And my-
all, you
And
know,
my feet
reps.
are between a size 6.5 and 7, so
Yeah.
that makes me perfect.
Because that's what, like, the size that all, like, outdoor reps have, like, clothing reps. They have medium.
Bingo.
And so...
Samples.
Like, so...
Oh.
Puss, perfect size. Oh, wait, let's see. We've got another call.
Did we answer her question? Hike it if you want to.
Yeah.
I
I could
would
if you want.
actually. Can I give the Southbounders perspective on
Yeah.
the
Absolutely.
approach trail?
Absolutely.
Fuck it. Fuck it. Plain and simple. When we decided, the mega crew, as we called ourselves, Superfly, Turbo, Scatman, Sharpshin, and T-Bone, we decided November 24th we would make it, and we stuck to this plan. And I had already called my folks, and I was like, this is the day we are finishing. And I got bossy, and I told my folks, I need you to drive up USFS 42. We're not going to hike down to Amicalola. She's like, my mom. She's like, you're not? No. I need you to come to 42, please. And could you bring some Guinness and some champagne? And
Nice.
sure enough, my brother, my dad, my mom, and her husband-to-be were all there. And my mom came up and found us at the summit. That's beside the point, though.
Of course.
The whole point was we were done
Right.
hiking. The approach trail did not matter. It did not exist. We would gladly hike the .9 back down to that parking lot.
Yeah. It's not that big of a deal.
For
Right,
that.
it's like,
Yeah.
at that point, what
We were
you're floating.
We
you're
were
so
done
happy.
hiking.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah. It's like I had to hike back down off Katahdin.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just the way it went.
Same feeling. It's like when you get to the sign, it's like, if only I could teleport back to the base, but now I
I
have to.
looked forward to the descent off Katahdin.
Yeah.
I was excited about it. I was like, I'm going to do that rebar south.
Down climbing.
I hated about once I got below tree line, I hated it because then it set in that I didn't have a ride to Millinocket.
Yeah, I'm the person who gives people like you rides home because I
Right.
lived in Maine for so many years. People sizing my car up before they even finish the climb. You know, you see you down at Katahdin Spring. Oh,
We would have given a hiker a ride while we were in Baxter back in October.
Right.
But she had this massive bag of recycling bottles and cans in her car. It was like some kind of bag lady or something, you know?
he's like, what is this?
Yeah, you know? I
I had
mean,
recycling in the backseat of my car.
But we were talking before we were really recording about some stories that we were thinking about saving for live shows, and my ride from my journey from the top of Katahdin to the pool of the Holiday Inn in Millinocket.
Yeah, baby.
Heyo.
Yeah, that was an adventure. And if anybody out there can speak German, I know we have a few German listeners.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I need a little translational help.
Wir haben Spaß.
You both sound like you have that thing, want to touch my monkey.
Do you want to touch my monkey?
That's what your German accent reminds me.
So, we're trying really hard to make German sound sexy. It's not easy.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we're going to take a break.
You must know what you are doing.
My Porsche is not exactly
Mein Scheiße.
I had a friend that counted switchbacks every day, like the count from Sesame Street. So like the first
Like,
switchback.
wah,
So the first switchback of the day was one switchback. Wah, two switchbacks. I love to count.
Oh my God. Did you guys ever encounter anybody who touched each blaze?
Thankfully, no.
No, but on the PCT, if I had one of those weird moments, like in your mind, the bad voice comes in and says, "This is a great day," and then the voice says, "You could fall and break your ankle right now." This moment, you're like, why am I having that thought? Or the boogeyman could be around the next switchback. When I had my little ritual with I would be like, "Oh, that's not going to happen, knock wood," and I would literally knock on a tree, whatever tree was in the.
I'm sorry.
To chase the crazy bad. Why should I be thinking about that thought out of my head?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was, but I didn't seek out a blaze to touch.
I met somebody. I had met the guy before, and I'm blanking out on his name right now, but I'm friends with him on Facebook. But it was somewhere in Maine where you're close to, such and such pond shelter.
Pierce Pond.
Yeah, there's so many ponds. There's some pond, and
Mouse pond.
And I remember we were camped out, not at the shelter, but down by the pond, and this dude comes through. And we're kind of down below where the AT is, but by 10 feet. And he's talking with us for a little while. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I've made my plans for my bus. I got a bus stop that I'm gonna catch in Millinocket." And all that. Okay, cool. I already bought my ticket. And we're like, "Okay, cool thing, man." He leaves. 10 minutes go by and the dude comes back. And he's like, "Whoops, sorry." And he had deviated from the AT to come see us and talk to us in our campsite by 10 feet and then join back up with
To
the
cover
AT.
those steps.
He comes all the way back 10 minutes later,
So he didn't
comes
have
back,
to make up those 10 steps.
comes back, goes back, puts his trekking pole up onto the white blaze and cruises on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Too much.
So shortly after, later that day that he came back into the backtrack, he went up to one of the blackest beaver ponds you've ever seen in your life, dipped his water bottle down into it, turned to us and professed the fact that he hasn't filtered the entire way and never had a problem.
No.
2 days later, he's shitting nonstop
Out of his mouth.
But he's bloom, and we're I remember being "Dude, you can use my pump."
You're probably still raw from Giardia.
Yeah, and I'd had Giardia at that point. Dude, you gotta. And yeah, he apparently he shit on the bus on the way home, and in the bathroom. But I'm oh, I couldn't imagine that. I couldn't imagine just being making it 97% of the way, and then your butt explodes.
All right, gang, so that's it for episode 10, part 1. Listen for part 2 and 3 coming in the next few days. Until then, find us on Facebook, iTunes, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest. All right.
Who's got the hooch, baby?
Yeah, I remember.
Can that be the
The other
closing
song
clip?
that came out that year
Sure,
was
sure.
that we left that.
I'm sorry.